It's that time of year where, though the autumnal colors are dazzling us on our nature walks, some of us begin to lose our lackluster for our homeschool routine. Others declare themselves as bored, and some declare the white flag of homeschool mama overwhelm. Join me as we explore how to reimagine your homeschool, lean into child-inspired learning, and create meaningful connections, because your unique homeschool journey begins now.
This is rivalry. We have Mom First Impressions only, she says. We have Rachel's If I Don't Win, Someone's Gonna Die Before We Leave. And Zachary, I Just Wanna Win. It's not fair. The game goes on.
So let's talk about understanding your why, exploring your motivations behind choosing this homeschool lifestyle. My story? It was 1 week of reading one book that convinced me that homeschooling was the right option for my family. But I hadn't consciously written those in my journal. I simply did my requisite research, as homeschool parents do. I did 2 years. And then I pulled them from the private school and determined to build a homeschool family life that I believe would work for us. I quickly learned that constructing a homeschool without the firm scaffolding of a strong why would translate to hitting the wall of overwhelm by year 3. By exploring your motivations, you're not just choosing an educational path, you're crafting a lifestyle that aligns with your authentic self and your vision for your family. So ask yourselves these questions, or pause the video, grab your journal, and ask yourself these questions. 1. What aspects of traditional schooling felt misaligned with your values or your lifestyle? 2. Describe your ideal day of learning with your kids. What does it look like? Why does that vision appeal to you? 3. How do you hope homeschooling will impact your family relationships in the long term? 4. What personal growth do you hope to achieve through your homeschool journey? 5. In what ways do you want your children's education to differ from your own experiences in school? 6. What fears or doubts do you have about homeschooling, and how do they relate to your core why? 7. How does homeschooling align with your broader life goals and values? 8. What unique opportunities or experiences do you hope to provide for your kids through homeschooling? 9. How do you envision homeschooling contributing to your children's character development and their life skills? And 10th and final question, if you could sum your homeschool philosophy up in just one sentence, what would it be? You can check out these 10 questions in the YouTube description below. There is no right or wrong answer here. The goal is for you to get clear on your personal motivations and your values around homeschooling and education. So if you want to reimagine your homeschool, you want to get clear on your why. And if you want to reimagine your homeschool, you need to deschool unhelpful educational mindsets. As homeschoolers, we often find ourselves unlearning traditional school methods, a process that we call deschooling. Actually, we didn't call it that. It was Ivan Illich that called it that way back in the day. But if you've ever heard the word deschooling, it's like unlearning traditional educational methods. We might not even be familiar with this word till years into our homeschool and discover that we've been doing it all along. We intuitively know that our conventional education didn't dot every I and didn't cross every T. Gasp, there were gaps. When we homeschool, we notice that our kids are learning despite a conventional approach. But what exactly are we deschooling, and what conventional approach do we need to leave behind? Many of us carry misconceptions about education that we've inherited from our conventional schooled experiences, like we assume learning only happens at certain times of the day in certain ways. Or we believe children need constant busyness and exposure to new things. We think learning must be organized into subjects and grade levels. We assume certified teachers are necessary for learning. We believe education must follow a pre-planned sequential curriculum for 180 instructional days every year. But as we homeschool, we discover that real learning is different. We learn that children can learn anytime, anywhere. Emotional connections and attachment are the base scaffolding for a happy, healthy homeschool and for your child's learning. Each child's learning journey is unique. Parents can be effective educators without formal teaching credentials. Learning can be organic, interest-driven, and non-linear. Unlearning these misconceptions allows us to reimagine education. We can create learning environments that really do serve our children's needs and nurture their innate curiosity and potential. Remember, as Einstein said, yes, Albert Einstein, he said, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. So if you want to reimagine your homeschool, you need to deschool your homeschool. One year, I noticed that my kids were going through the motions of the writing curriculum that we'd purchased and used methodically and every day for 180 days in a year. And I began to understand that though they were going through the motions, some days unhappily for me too, I wanted them to learn to communicate their thoughts. I wanted them to learn to express themselves. I wanted them to learn to critically think and formulate interesting thoughts. So I put away the formal writing curriculum and I asked them what they wanted to write. With the writing curriculum, I was pulling teeth to keep every child at the homeschool table, learning to create a compound sentence or a 3-point essay or a simple paragraph. For the sake of learning those things, it didn't keep their attention. It didn't keep mine either. With their full attention, I later learned when I offered that we write about any topic they wanted to write about, then I had engaged kids. In fact, the stories they wrote in the NaNoWriMo month of November were remarkable. And I might add, some of them weren't stories, they were novellas. Now, it isn't to say that I didn't incorporate writing curriculum and online classes. I most definitely did. But I used them as an adjunct to learning through thinking, imagining, and excitedly getting their pen to paper. Child-inspired learning is all about following your children's natural curiosity and interests. Instead of sticking to rigid lesson plans, you let your child's passion guide how you approach their home education. Here's why it's amazing for both you and your kids. It unleashes curiosity and deep learning. When kids are genuinely interested, they become learning sponges. It personalizes the learning path. Every child learns differently, and this approach embraces their unique styles. It encourages thinking outside the box. Learning can happen anywhere through Minecraft or Legos or even making mud patties in the backyard. It unlocks the magic of unschooled learning. Whether you ascribe to an unschooled method or not, education you discover becomes a lifelong adventure of play and discovery. By leaning in to child-inspired learning, you'll watch your children's curiosity flourish. Their interests will ignite. Their love for learning deepen. Plus, it makes your homeschool journey a whole lot easier and way more enjoyable. But how do you balance structure and flexibility in your homeschool routine while also doing all the other things of your homeschool life, like extracurriculars or trying to keep your kids motivated and assessing their progress holistically? That's a big old question right there. Because we know homeschooling is not just about ticking off boxes. We know it intuitively very quickly, or at least we become very dissatisfied ticking off boxes. Homeschooling is about creating meaningful experiences and adventures and tailoring an education to your family's unique values, interests, and your specific children. So consider this tip. Begin by creating a flexible daily routine. Yeah, structure can be important, and to some of us it's more important, and to some kids it's more important and less important depending on who you speak to. But you want to give yourself the freedom to adapt because life happens, homeschool interrupted. Note that your child's natural rhythms will guide you, and then note that yours will too. Some days a math lesson might not be understood that morning alone, and you might need to bring it into a different day. Other days, maybe your kid got started on a science project, like they might not even know it's a science project, but that's actually what they're doing. And it sparks such interest that everyone's following that child and doing what they're doing. And you're asking yourself, why would I stop them from learning this thing right now? This is you. Flexible homeschool mom in action. To keep your kids motivated, remember to follow their interests. Require less, inquire more. Child-inspired learning is about letting curiosity lead. P.S. Your curiosity is invited to the homeschool table too. When you tap into what excites them and you, whether it's dinosaurs or outer space or baking, they stay naturally engaged. Create a space in your days for open exploration and have fun doing it. Make fun your priority. Finally, assess progress holistically. So learning about grades or test scores, why? It's about growth in their person, this education thing, learning problem solving and critical thinking skills, intangible skills, and developing emotional intelligence. How do you grade and test all of that? And why are you doing it? Observe how they engage with challenges, develop new skills, and build their confidence. The learning is lifelong. It doesn't end at 18. How old am I? How old are you? Are you still learning? When you teach them, your children, to live their lives in curiosity and play at age 8, they'll live their entire lives in curiosity and play. Sometimes we need to reimagine our homeschools by assessing why we're feeling overwhelmed. This is the season of the year, one of the seasons, where homeschool families typically find themselves in the I think this is getting to be a bit much, or it's just not quite hitting the way I thought it would be. That beautiful glow of homeschooling is losing its edge. Can I hear an amen? Here are just 4 of 15 strategies I speak to on overcoming overwhelm. I'll include the blog post and the podcast episode in the description below if you want to read about all 15. So first, let's talk about boundaries. Establishing clear boundaries can help you reclaim time. This might mean scheduling 15 minutes a week just for you to get a little margin or bandwidth in your week, or turning off notifications during school hours. I do remember a season where I had to set my, at the time, iPod in the other room because of my easy to be distracted little tiny box. Schedule quiet time with the kids. We typically did it here in the afternoon. Pre-plan responses to nosy questions. If you know that you're always getting asked certain questions, then spend time in your journal, your self-awareness time, and write them down. What are the FAQs of being a homeschool mom? Write them down and record your response. Designate family time to connect with your kids. It's a funny thing about homeschooling, but just because you're homeschooling doesn't always mean that you are spending eyeball to eyeball time with your kids. We can find ourselves busy in many different ways. And so if you want to create connection with your kids, you need to do it on purpose. It's also necessary to reduce activities. Probably at this time of year, you're starting to notice there's a lot going on. Are your days filled up with too many play dates, or is it field trips, or you signed up for a co-op that you wish you didn't? You get to choose how you live your life, so time block your week to see where you can maybe simplify. And don't forget the power of quiet time for both you and your kids. That morning walk around the block with the kids, or an afternoon break like a quiet time that we had here. A little piece goes a long way. Just 15 minutes if you want to reimagine your homeschool. And if you want to reimagine your homeschool Join a community that feels supportive and connected to you. You can find local groups that might offer some connection or friendship, maybe play dates for your kids, and maybe your kids enjoy hanging out with those kids, maybe you'll enjoy the parents. I often found that there was a crossover there. But whether it's local groups that can maybe give you chances to share experiences with other people as you're homeschooling, whatever it is, they remind you that you're not alone. And if you're looking for support beyond your area, then you're welcome to join our online Confident Homeschool Mom Collective. It's a space where we lift each other up, we share tips, we celebrate our wins together. Thank you for joining me today to Reimagine Your Homeschool. Let's quickly recap what we covered. Remember, understanding your why is essential in homeschooling. Leaning into child-inspired learning by following your child's passions will foster curiosity and a deeper connection with them. Practice unlearning those limiting beliefs around education. Real learning can happen anywhere. And connect with other homeschool moms through local groups or online spaces like the Confident Homeschool Mom Collective. Finally, honor your unique homeschool journey. There is no homeschool like your homeschool. So reflect on your motivations as you continue to co-create this education for your homeschool family and co-create this beautiful life for you too. If you'd like free access to the Reimagine Your Homeschool mini course, check the YouTube description below. And thanks for joining me today.